What is up, everybody? NC.
JC and...
We got a top 10 awesome for you guys. And it's not from any modern day wrestlers. You should know better by now. It's from somebody from the past who has had an awesome a long time coming. We're talking about Scott Hall.
Ayo.
So we're going to go ahead and run down 10 reasons why Scott Hall is in fact awesome and stays awesome. And hopefully we'll stay awesome and not say any weird SJW shit.
Stay the course, pal.
Stay the course. So, number one about him, he's got a memorable saying.
Ayo.
Simple, effective, easily replicable. That's something that you should look for with any catchphrase, and he got it. He mastered it. It's almost like woo. Any retard at a bar can say woo, because it's just the sound of air escaping from their empty skull. So, that makes sense. But with ayo, it's just taking a catchphrase that nobody else was using, kind of blended in with the Scarface character that he had, and he rolled with it. He was like, you know what? I can go ahead and I can use this and kind of basically say, hey, I'm Razor Ramon without worrying about any of the copyright bullshit.
Because, think about it like this. Whenever you hear, ayo,
you think of Razor Ramon.
Exactly. That's what wrestling is supposed to be. You're supposed to be memorable.
Right.
Like Stone Cold. Oh, hell yeah. Stone Cold.
You know what? It's interesting. It was a WWF game that Xavier Woods and Tyler Breeze were playing on the Up, Up, Down, Down channel. And Tyler Breeze said something along the lines of, will we be that generation that people forget about that's just obsessed with wrestlers from the past? And then they gave each other a weird look like, maybe.
Well, because they're forgettable.
That's something Scott Hall isn't.
Right.
He's not forgettable. He's memorable. Made sure to make his catchphrases stick. Made sure to make his ring gear stick. I mean, even though he technically bit the Razor Ramon getup and just made it a blood drip font. I mean, that's all he really did. But still, it was still cool.
Right. And it was still a part of him.
Yes. No doubt about that. Number 2, this guy got over a half-assed version of himself in WCW.
He did.
I mean, really look at it. This is like some Dustin Rhodes type shit right here of just taking your Goldust gimmick and just, now I'm doing half the face paint and turning the gold into blue. It's pretty much the same shit, but with Scott Hall, he's cool. He was still in good shape. He was still marketable, and it made for a draw. It made for something that you could get behind, and that's what I think really was maximized with Scott Hall, and that's why you really can't compare these AEW crossovers to the WWF to WCW crossovers back in the day. It's not the same.
It's not.
Because back then, the guys who were crossing over were upper mid-card or main event level talent.
Right.
Nowadays, they're all mid-card and below.
Right, so no one means anything.
Exactly. Yeah. Even with Daniel Bryan, you can maybe argue that he's maybe an upper mid-carder. Yeah. Back in the day, not nowadays.
No, not at all.
So, CM Punk, obvious mid-carder right there.
Right.
But we're getting off on a tangent. A true main event level player is Scott Hall, and he proved it over in WCW. And he was one of those guys that was always lingering towards the top. Always had the main event level matches. Worked with the biggest names in WCW.
Yeah, no, he did. He absolutely did. And he really had a lot of great matches, but the one in WWF with Shawn Michaels, that ladder match.
Oh, primo.
Fantastic.
I think a big thing that really helped him catch on to is number 3. This guy had a cool finisher. The Razor's Edge looked cool as fuck. And the reason it looked so cool is because it was like Kevin Nash's powerbomb, how he would lift them up and then just throw them down. But he lifted them up on his shoulders, elevated them even higher, and then just drove them right down on the back of their neck. It looked vicious. It was something that a big, strong guy like him should do. And that's the thing, too, is that kind of like a random aside here, like a 3.5, if you will, is he wrestled his size. He didn't do any flippy shit. He wrestled basically like a big brawler with a little bit of powerhouse mixed in.
Right, as he should have. With Braun Strowman and Luchasaurus, you don't need to bing bong, flip and flop around the ring.
It's not necessary.
No, just wrestle your style. Make it believable.
Right. Now, this is something that people could debate about it being awesome. We're going to go ahead and say it's awesome simply because of the impact that Scott Hall made. And that's number 4. He is a founding member of the Clique.
Yeah, he is.
Now, the Clique is a very controversial stable that has ruined a lot of people's lives. And basically caused a shift in how business is done backstage, so to speak. But the Clique, you can't deny, is a stable of some of the most talented wrestlers ever formed. I mean, compared to the Hart Foundation, compared to Four Horsemen, the Clique is the most elite of its time period.
They really are, dude.
And he was a founding member of that. And if anything, that just shows you that Scott Hall's the type of guy, I think, if he didn't have his alcohol problems, he would probably have been a world champion.
He really would have. Well, and because he was over enough.
Right.
To, like, he would have necessitated being the champion. But
well, that ties right into number 5, though.
Yeah.
This guy is a great wrestler and one of the greatest to never win a world championship. He's right up there with, like, Jake the Snake Roberts to never hold that top title. And he should have at least had, like, maybe a flash in the pan. But keep in mind, while he was in WCW, this was full-on alcoholic binge Scott Hall.
Right.
He may have physically been in great shape, but you better believe his liver was like, ah, help me! You know, his liver was crying because he was punishing it. He was punishing the shit out of his liver to the point that Eric Bischoff, as much as he liked Scott Hall, even he couldn't put him in that position to be a world champion. But if you have a sober Scott Hall, you might have had a world champion. I mean, I think he was marketable enough to push, especially when NWO was red hot back then.
Absolutely. And the thing, too, with Vince, like when he was in WWF, is he wasn't dependable for Vince.
No, he wasn't. And that's part of the reason why Vince allowed him to go over and help out Ted Turner.
He did. And, you know, one of the things that helped him help out Ted Turner and help out WCW at the time is number 6. He looked like a star.
He did.
No denying that.
He had no problem going to the bar, being up until 6 o'clock, passing out in his hotel room for about 6 hours, hitting the gym, going to wrestle, and he would do the shit 5 nights a week. And he was still in great shape. He didn't wrestle no flippy bing bong style. He came in and just wrestled like a powerhouse brawler. Which is how a guy his size should.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is that, like, I don't get why so many big man wrestlers, they wrestle this lucha shit. I don't get it.
It's not necessary. They do it to fit in with the indie culture. It's sad. Yeah. To show that they got work rate, you don't have to do that. Brian Cage, I'm looking at you. Yeah. You don't have to do that shit. You're above it. And that's what Scott Hall realizes, that he realized that, you know what? I look like a star because I put in the work. I go ahead and I hit the gym. And that's something that a lot of these wrestlers nowadays, they refuse to do. Scott Hall, even though he was on a grueling WWF road schedule, a grueling WCW schedule, he still took time to hit the gym. Now, I know the argument would be that, yeah, he took juice at one point of his life to get big originally, yes, but he's also had good genes. Right. This guy had good genes, and he made good use of them, hit the gym, made time to look like a star, and he never made excuses either. I remember a story where Shane Douglas was touring back with WWF, and he had to go out there and wrestle with Scott Hall, and Shane was like, oh, well, I'm tired. And Scott Hall's like, who cares about you being tired, man? There's supplements for that. Go out there and do your job.
I like that. Yeah. He's a hard worker.
He's a hard worker, and it doesn't get recognized enough. Sure, he has his demons, or he had his demons, but all wrestlers do in one form, shape, or another.
Well, and he doesn't kowtow to demons. And that ties us into reason number 7. He didn't turn SJW.
Never did. Now look at all the Clique. Seriously, look at every single member of the Clique. Every single one of them. Even Kevin Nash has said some SJW shit.
Right.
Triple H, he doesn't say a whole lot, but he does a lot with his actions.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels has said a lot of SJW shit.
Mm-hmm.
X-Pac has been a total AEW dick rider.
Hire me, AEW.
But they won't. They will not. They will never, because he sucks.
Yeah. Go away, Heat again.
And Kevin Nash, he pretty much works in Saudi Arabia, but says SJW shit from time to time. But Scott Hall has never said SJW shit.
No.
He keeps it real. And he, for the most part, what I understand, he stays off of social media. He's not really active on it. And well, that's something I would recommend for a lot of these wrestlers. You don't have to be active on social media. It's not necessary nowadays.
No, I mean, why? It's not worth the fucking bullshit. Just stay.
They're all trolls.
Yeah, Twitter fucking sucks. Like, what's the point of it?
There really is no point.
You know?
And I just don't see why there would be any point to anybody thinking that there's going to be another Clique. Bullet Club will never be another Clique.
No.
The Elite will never be another Clique. That will never happen again.
Never. Well, they're not stars.
None of them.
They don't look, talk, or act like stars, so no one's going to treat them as such. Other than the neckbeard matchmark audience.
Pretty much.
So, reason number 8 why Scott Hall is awesome. he refused to sell out to Triple H. Now, this is a big one.
It's really big, because think about it. I mean, Scott Hall, he's in that same camp where he hasn't sold out to Triple H. He'd rather just do some rando Saudi Arabian shows and make a lot of money doing that. Good for him.
Yeah.
You know, but X-Pac, he would sell out to Triple H in a heartbeat if Triple H would actually give him a job, but Triple H won't. But look at it. Road Dogg has sold out to Triple H. Mm-hmm. Billy Gunn once sold out to Triple H, but then he had to fire him as part of the inside job and send him over to AEW because of the steroid controversy. Mm-hmm. Understandable, but he sold out to Triple H.
He did.
Shawn Michaels. This is the leader of the Clique, and he sold out to Triple H. Simply because Triple H has power now.
Right.
That's pathetic.
Yeah, that's what Shawn is. Pathetic.
Shawn is a pathetic shell of what he used to be. This guy used to be one of the most charismatic performers back in 1996, 1997. And now he is just a worthless piece of SJW garbage.
Well, no drugs, no soul, so.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's what I love about Scott Hall. Keeps it real. Always has.
He does. And, reason number 9, this is another thing I really like about Scott Hall and that I respect about him. He got his life together.
Thank God.
Yeah, because he used to be, addicted to painkillers.
Everything.
Addicted to alcohol, be in constant pain. And he got his life together. He got off the booze. He got off the painkillers, from what I know. He did DDP yoga, which helped him out with his back and his knees. So, it's just nice to see that Scott Hall is getting his shit together and getting his life back together.
Well, he got in the greatest shape of his life, some would say. I mean, recently he's been posting pictures on Instagram where he's back in fantastic shape. He lost the beer gut. Wow, and he's with this chick right now who's forcing him to go to the gym with her. And, they're both getting in good shape. And that's what I think, more than anything, Scott Hall needed is a supportive partner that would help him get back into shape. Because he's always been a gym rat. I think deep down he just needed somebody to kind of support him with it.
It's just really good to see. You want to see stuff like this.
Right.
When you see old wrestlers that are broken down and have gone through a lot. Like with Jake the Snake Roberts, it's good to see that they're back and active again. And that they're able to move again. It's just, I really like seeing Scott Hall being able to be physically active and physically fit again.
DDP yoga helped out a lot of wrestlers. It really did.
No kidding about that. I mean, seriously. Look at all the people it's helped.
Right.
DDP has done a lot of good. He needs a top 10 awesome if we haven't done one already.
Oh, you're not. He'll definitely get one. There's a lot of requests to get a top 10 awesome on DDP. We'll definitely be bringing you that in the near future. But yeah, Scott Hall is an amazing dude. Also friends with DDP.
True.
Should come as no surprise. They were actually part of a tag team back in WCW. I think they were the original Diamond Mine, I want to say. That's where the friendship stems from.
And that's awesome. It's really good to see that Scott Hall is doing better. And reason number 10, and nothing will ever be better than this faction. Reason number 10 why Scott Hall is awesome, he was a member of the best faction in the history of wrestling.
You can't deny that.
Don't tell me about the Four Horsemen being the greatest faction ever. Fuck that.
And technically, we're not talking about the Clique, we're talking about NWO.
Exactly.
So NWO was the faction to watch on TV. NWO was the coolest thing in pro wrestling at the time. Mm-hmm. It was because of 3 guys, mainly. If you want to look at it, it was Hogan, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash. Mm-hmm. Those 3 names became household names in WCW. Like, if you were a WCW fan, you knew those guys right up there with Sting, Ric Flair, Vader. It was right up there with that elite level of WCW talent already. Like, right off the bat.
Right. No, absolutely. I don't want to hear any arguments that the NWO is not the biggest faction ever. No, they were. T-shirt sales indicate that. Ticket sales indicate that.
To this day.
To this day. Don't fucking tell me that the Four Horsemen, were they a big faction? Sure. Were they NWO big? No.
They don't have the merch sales and the catchphrases, and they don't have the marketability that NWO has. Don't get me wrong, Four Horsemen is a great stable, Evolution, great stable, but they don't have the marketability that NWO has.
I'll even put NWO over D-Generation X.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, DX is basically a poor man's version of NWO, I hate to say it.
Pretty much.
It was just basically NWO with more swearing and sexuality.
Yeah, pretty much.
But not done as well.
No.
I hate to say it. Because they just didn't have the stars. It's like Shawn Michaels was past his prime at that point, and Triple H was always the lapdog that he always will be. Don't get me wrong, they had a couple cool things here and there, but for the most part, DX, especially DX 2.0, was terrible.
Yeah.
It was fucking bad. It was just basically a bunch of old men trying to do TV PG bullshit. It was so gay and stupid.
Yeah, honestly, is it just me, or was Road Dogg one of the better parts of DX?
Yeah, because he had personality. He was a good talker, good actor. And even then, he went full on cuck.
He did.
I mean, he's now a producer in NXT, helping to wheel out that stupid indie bullshit that nobody cares about. I mean, so he right there sold himself out, but Scott Hall has never sold himself out, has never felt the need to, and that's why he is deserving of this awesome, and I really hope that he doesn't do anything to make us regret this. This is why we...
Stay off Twitter.
Well, guys, this is why we've been sticking to wrestlers from the past, because modern-day wrestlers always like to do embarrassing shit on social media. Twitter is a breeding ground for them exposing themselves and doing stupid shit. That's just how it goes, so... Ayo.
Your toxic masculinity. Nah, dude, I hope we don't hear that.
Just stay off Twitter.
Stay off Twitter.
So this has been a Top 10 Awesome on Scott Hall, NC.
JC and...
Peace out.
The Horsecock Express. If you had to give a rim job to one diva, one WWE diva in history, who would it be?
I'm going to say Paige.
Kimberly? Oh, Paige,
No,
the diva.
Somebody new, right?
No, in history,
No.
or the entire time there were women in the WWE.
Okay, well, rim job means eating her ass out.
Correct.
I'm going to say Paige.
Okay, very good.